Del Rio, Texas. We are a Del Rio Border Patrol sector. Covers 209 miles of border. We have 9 stations. A couple of those stations further north are resident agents, but there's 9 stations covering from Big Bend all the way over to Laredo sector.
So this is the border fence? This is it?
Yes, ma'am. So this right here in front of us is the border fence in Del Rio, Texas. Del Rio sector has approximately 4 miles of fencing. About 2 of them here in Del Rio.
Wait. 4 miles, and the sector is 209 miles?
Yes, ma'am. There's 209 miles of border within Del Rio sector. Approximately 4 miles of them have fencing. 2 here and about 2 miles in Eagle Pass, Texas.
Well, it's pretty shocking, also pretty embarrassing that we have such little fencing for this huge area. You really see it when you're up in the air and, of course, when you're on the boat. And it just makes it a lot easier for illegal immigrants, most importantly, cartel members, people who are the bad guys trying to make it across. They penetrate into the country. It also kind of sends a stark message to the Americans in the Del Rio sector themselves. Now, what the Washington elites don't get, or they just don't care about them. So how do we fix this problem? Joining me now is Hector Garza, Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, and John Annison, also with the Border Patrol Council and a border agent right here in Del Rio, Texas. All right, John, this is your sector. You have 2 miles of fencing. Some of it's right behind us here. Family unit apprehensions, way up. They're up 636%.
That's right.
For this fiscal year alone. You say there are things that can be done here that aren't being done because of what you don't have at your disposal. We heard from the chief set up the facts and the professionalism of the Border Patrol. I saw it firsthand. But like this, I mean, this is not a 40-foot fence here. I mean, it's good and it slows people down, but what about the river? Isn't that just enough of a barrier?
Well, the river's a big part of it. Ultimately, the water is a deterrent in some areas, but as we saw in the raft that capsized last week and the rescues that we have to do every day practically, it's not enough. Our agents are tied up doing those things, rescuing people, taking care of people in the stations, and they're not able to be out here. The fence that you see behind you here, it ends just up the road.
Right.
And it's effective to funneling people to certain directions, and at least gives us a little time to respond to it. We could use bits and pieces of this in other areas, but every mile of the border is different. So we may not need more of the fence further downriver.
You don't need it everywhere.
That's
for
be out there.
Yeah, right. You don't need the fencing everywhere. And Hector, as we discovered today, most of the time the river is not raging. Most of the time it's quite low. There are pockets of deeper sections of it, but most time you can walk right across, or with a little swimming. But you can walk across lots of different sections of this border. That makes it really important that you have the manpower and the fencing where appropriate.
Well, first of all, it's manpower, infrastructure, and technology. And when we talk about infrastructure, we're talking about physical barriers, fencing, walls, in strategic locations. Now, think about it. 4 miles in the entire Del Rio sector, that's not enough when we're dealing with dangerous cartels. These cartels are bringing drugs. They're bringing dangerous people with serious criminal records. And then now they're bringing these kids with fake families. So, yeah, it's a big problem, and we have to address the situation on the border.
I want to play for you. This is a part of what we discussed with one of the other agents today, about what this barrier actually can accomplish and cannot accomplish as it currently stands. Let's watch. Yeah, let's let us roll.
There are people crossing this river every day on rafts, on inflatables, on boats, and when the water's at its lowest, there are places where you can walk across it on foot.
But without that fence, it's an easy disappearing.
Yes, once they get across this river, what the fence does is it gives us that break, that spot that they have to slow down to give our agents time to first detect it and to respond in order to effect that arrest.
Now, I heard at nighttime things get real fun out at the border. I was talking to a friend in Laredo earlier today in the Rio Grande Valley, and at nighttime the real fun begins, in quotes.
Well, actually, it becomes very dangerous at night. It's a total different ballgame, and that's when a lot of the dangerous criminals do come across, because they use the cover of the night. We also get those family units during the day primarily, but a lot of the dangerous criminals and the dangerous drugs actually come in at night, and those are the guys that have very serious records like murder, kidnapping, rape. Some of these people are the ones that just got deported after serving time in prison, so very dangerous folks.
This is what the chief said today about the families being used and using children. Let's watch.
What will happen is a whole family will make it to the border here, and they'll break up. So a father will take a child, a mother will take a child, they'll cross in different locations. They won't inform any of the officers that they are all one family unit, so that the way they can each take advantage of the system.
Yeah, and then Johnny went on to say that's how they divert the Border Patrol's resources. So they're not just going to one pickup location, they're going to multiple, but it is one, quote, family unit. Meanwhile, we got the spotters up on the hillsides, and they're bringing the drugs in 2 miles down the road. It's incredibly organized and well choreographed. As ragtag as it looks, once we actually started asking questions of the migrants, we started getting real answers.
No, it is impressive, and when they cross a group at a location, they're doing it at that location at that time for a particular reason. Either they're getting other people across who don't want to be arrested, or they're bringing drugs or whatever across. So it is impressive at times because they know exactly how to keep us busy.
Now, this is some of what, including presidential candidates, are saying about you and your fellow agents. Let's watch.
The Border Patrol has a history of using unnecessary force, using tear gas. There are women and children out there.
Stop allowing the United States government to commit a human rights abuse at the border.
Young children who have been taken from their parents, audio of their cries.
A moral vandalism on the ideals of our country.
A moral vandalism on the ideas of our country. I don't know. Has he been out here? I'm not sure.
No, they like to demonize Border Patrol agents, and in reality, our agents do great work. They actually care for these kids that come into our custody. We treat everybody with dignity and respect. Everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a dangerous criminal, if you're a child, if you're unaccompanied children. It doesn't matter. We're going to treat you with dignity and respect. And it's very unfortunate that these congressmen decide to say this type of stuff.
John, your quick message to Washington, D.C. tonight.
We need help. It's as simple as that. We cannot keep this up, and it's only going to get worse. And now that the summer months are coming, it's going to get hotter out here, and I'm afraid that we're going to see more people die trying to cross here, especially now when it's going to be 100 degrees.
Thank you both for being here tonight, and this is just a message everybody has to hear.
Thank you.
And up next, a couple who actually lives in this community sees illegals on their ranch every day. But there was one encounter they're never going to forget. The ranchers are here next with their story.